Yeah, man, I say all praises and honor to your house for Hashem Yahushai, Hashem Kodash, and double honors to the apostles and elders of Graven Stone. Shalom to all our brothers and out there push the truth in all sincerity and in all honesty. You know, this is a brother from Jamaica camp, Yashamai.
Ashar.
Shapal.
And you know, today we want a video on Chariots of Israel. You know, because you know we need time now when the Lord Yahushai, you know, about to make him second return, you know, any day, you know, soon. This is when I time our deliverance, you know, because we see, you know, all the signs, you know, all the prophecies, you know, taking place. You know, and Esau, you know, over the years they've been hiding, you know, around these chariots, you see. And now when I time our super seven, everything are basically in a secret. Without our shy basically speak in a low. So there's nothing in secret, you know, basically manifest. So now you have Esau now come out and talk about these so-called UFOs that they've been hiding over the years. You know, we should basically the chariots of Israel. You see, because we're in a time now, you know, when we see a lot of chariots, you know, daily brothers seeing chariots. Out in Jamaica, we see them, you know, regularly. You see it, and as we go closer and closer, we're going to see more these so-called UFOs or aerial phenomena, or Esau call them, which are the chariots of Israel. You see, because we're in a time of deliverance. And this are, all these things are part of the sign, you know, the second coming of the Lord, the Yahushai. You know, scripture?
This is Romans 13 and verse 11, saying that knowing the time, that now it is high time to wake out of sleep. For now is our salvation nearer than when we believe.
Now is our salvation, you know, is our deliverance. We live in the time of our deliverance. You know, we're going to get delivered, you know, from out of the hands of Esau, you know, which is a so-called white man.
Alright, so this is article from Express, date September 12, 2020. It say UFO sighting, airline pilot flew mysterious giant sphere that baffles US military officials.
And according to Bible prophecy, what will take place? You know, so-called white man, you know, along with basically the other nation, them are going to fight against the Lord Yahushai. You can bring up the scripture there, brother? For brother go further in the article. Revelation 19 and 19.
This is Revelation 19 verse 19.
Go on.
So I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth.
So John on the island of Patmos, you know, get the vision, you know, of all these prophecies, all these things to come, what we're approaching right now. So this is what he saw. He saw the beast. And the beast is basically NATO alongside the EU. What?
So I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together.
And their armies, so all these armies, you know, are basically come together to fight against, you know, the Lord and Savior Yahushua. You see, because Lord Yahushua come back in the midst of World War III.
So and I saw the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies gathered together to make war against him that sat on the horse and against his army.
And against his army, so they want to fight against the Yahushua, you know, along with the angels, the Lord Yahushua come back with you. So all these men basically been seeing all these so-called UFOs, you know, over the years. You know, now coming out more frequently, you know, because, you know, we're in a time now, you know, when everything, you know, come to the open, as scripture said. Continue, brother.
Alright, it's a UFO pilot recalls witnessing mysterious orb inside another. It's an experienced commercial airline pilot has released footage of a mysterious mid-air encounter with a bright orb UFO. The strange encounter took place 2 days after an identical sighting was reported in the night sky almost 2,000 miles away. The bizarre sighting was recounted on the History Channel's show Unidentified Inside America's UFO Investigation. They said the sighting just off the coast of Chile in March 2019 has left US military aviation officials baffled.
And so, as I mentioned earlier, they've been seeing, you know, these chariots, you know, for a very long time. You know, but they don't hide it. You know, but now, as I mentioned, now it's coming out to the opening.
Said
What?
the pilot who asked not to be identified, spoke with Lou Elizondo, a former Pentagon official who investigates UFO sightings. The pilot told Louis, "I'm an airline captain. I fly for a big carrier. I fly an Airbus A320. I have 11 years of international flying experience." It happened March 1st, 2019. It was a red-eye flight. I was flying to Argentina in the middle of the night. At around 2 a.m. when the plane was 35,000 feet high, the pilot saw a bright white orb tracking the plane to the west.
And even out in Jamaica, I've been hearing people speaking about, them seeing, light come down, this bright light of Chariot. You see, because they don't know it as Chariot, them say so-called UFOs, and it was scary to them because they don't know what it is, You see, but we men in law, we basically say these so-called UFOs are the Chariots of Israel. You see, then they are here basically us, You see, what scripture say? A curse unto the whole so-called white man is a blessing unto the elect, but it's a curse unto the so-called white man because Lord, the house shall come back, basically remove Esau Edom from out of power.
Zechariah 5 verse 1.
What?
Then I turned and looked. Then I turned and lifted up mine eyes and looked, and behold a flying roll.
God.
And he said unto me, What seest thou? And I answered, I see a flying roll.
So it's a flying roll or a flying scroll. You see, because these chariots have different shape and sizes. They come in all different forms, different colors. What?
So the length thereof is 20 cubits, and the breadth thereof 10 cubits. Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth.
God, this is a curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth. You see, because I mentioned earlier, this is a curse unto the so-called white man. What?
For everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side.
Everyone that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side. And what basically, the men them on the earth right now, were basically the most stealing. From the time them coming to power until now. The so-called white man without a doubt. The Micah, what I say? You can make up brother Micah 2 and 2. You can start at 1 too. I'll get your shot.
So this is
Micah 2.
This is Micah 2.
This is Micah 2 and verse 2. And they covet fields and take them by violence.
As a matter of fact, start at 1, brother.
Micah 2 verse 1. Say, Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds.
Because people say, woe to them that devise iniquity, and the word woe destruction or suffering. Talking about the head for Esau Edom, because they are the one in power. Esau Edom, the banking lithium, the Rothschild family. Go on, brother.
Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand.
God, because they are the one in the power right now. As Scripture said, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. What?
They covet fields and take them by violence.
So this is how the so-called white man been doing over the years, especially the American military. Scripture said they covet fields and take them by violence. So then take away all these nation resources. Destroy this nation or destabilize all these nations across the world and take them the resources. America have much of that. 800 military base across the world. What?
And houses and take them away.
God.
So they oppress a man and his house, even a man and his heritage.
And exactly. And brother, back to the scripture I read.
Okay, Zechariah 5 and verse 3. He said, Then said he unto me, This is the curse that goeth forth over the face of the whole earth.
What?
And every one that stealeth shall be cut off as on this side, according to it.
According to it, says so-called white man gonna get cut off. They're removed from out of power. But at least Edom might gonna get put to death. And the Lord the house shine, make him a rival. What?
And every one that sweareth shall be cut off as on that side,
Go on.
according to it.
Go on.
And I will bring it forth, say the Lord of hosts, and it shall enter into the house of the thief.
God says, people say, Lord, I'm going to bring it forth to you. I'm going to bring these so-called UFOs, we are the chariots of Israel, and they're going to enter into the house of the thief. And who's the thief? As we read the scripture earlier, so-called white man, they covet fields and take them by violence. So they oppress a man and his house, leave a man and his heritage. Go on.
And into the house of him that sweareth falsely by my name.
Go on, because so-called white man make you swear in the Bible and then courthouse system. They make you put you on the Bible and swear. So you'll come back for him. Go on.
And it shall remain in the midst of his house, and
God.
shall consume it with the timber thereof and the stones thereof.
Go on. So Lord, the house shall come back and destroy a lot of you so-called white people.
Alright, say, I took out my phone, and when I zoomed, I got to see the circular shape. It appeared to show an orb inside another orb. It started moving in a wave pattern from left to right, right to left. It was definitely bigger than 747. Right, and say, as an pilot, you're kind of used to seeing like shining stars. The ISS, I have even had the chance to see meteorites fly by. They are very small and have this green color. But what this was, I didn't know.
Go on, it's the chariots. Chariot of Yahweh, Hashem, and Shai. Yeah. So I'm done, John. 104.
See Psalms 104 verse 3, say,
What?
who laid the beams of his chamber, right, in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot.
Who make it the clouds, it's chariot. So the cloud is the scripture speak about in Acts 1. So it say a cloud receive your house shine out of inside. A matter of fact, where they can bring it out. Acts 1 and 9, I think. 1 and 6.
Right, so this is Acts 1 and verse and verse 9. This is Acts 1 and verse 9. And when he had spoken these things,
Talking about Yahweh Shai. When basically, going back, to when time when he appeared to the disciple after, him rose from the dead. Before him leave, so what him said to the disciple, one, and the apostle later on become apostles, one.
and when he had spoken these things, while they beheld, he was taken up in a cloud, and a cloud received him out of their sight.
And a chariot receive Yahweh Shai out of the sight of the disciple, what?
And while they looked steadfast towards heaven,
So the disciple back then look for Yahweh Shai get beam up. Look for Yahweh Shai go up. But a chariot, what?
as he went up, behold, two men stood by him in white apparel, which also said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into heaven?
One.
This same Yahushua, which is taken up from you into heaven, shall come in like manner.
So the same way him left, left in a so-called UFO, or aerial phenomenon as Esau called it, which are the chariots of Israel. One.
Right, shall come in like manner.
So the same way come back in a chariot. They come in one of the biggest chariots. It's just basically referred to it as the fathership to a big thing. You couldn't see one end. It big like a mountain. One.
As ye have seen him go into heaven.
God, give me a Revelation 1 and 7 now, brother.
This is Revelation 1 verse 7. Behold, he cometh with clouds.
Behold, he cometh with clouds, talking about Lord Yahushua, the man of people ignorantly called Jesus. Thousands and thousands of chariots may come up with too. One.
And every eye shall see him.
And every eye shall see him. So everybody will living during the time when the Lord Yahushua and make him arrive and going to see Yahushua, because this guy going to block out the chariots. Plus Yahushua going to one of the biggest chariot, the fathership. Go on.
And they which also, and they also which pierced him, and all kindreds of earth shall wail because of him.
God.
Even so. Amen.
Because a lot of people going to put to death. You know, Lord, the house shine, you know, make him a rifle. What?
This is Isaiah 31 and verse 5. See, as birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem.
God, as birds flying, just like how the bird flying formation, that's how the chariots will come back. You know, can deliver the elect. What?
So as birds flying, so will the Lord of hosts defend Jerusalem. Defending also, he will deliver it.
God.
And passing over, he will preserve it.
God, say what? But this preserve the elect, which is Jerusalem. One.
This is 2nd Ezra 13
One.
verse 1. And it came to pass, after 7 days, I dreamed a dream by night,
One.
and lo, there arose a wind from the sea,
Wind from the sea, out of space. One.
that it moved all the waves thereof.
One.
And I beheld, and lo, that man was strong with the thousand of heaven.
That man walk strong with the thousands of heaven, talking about Lord the Outside, with the thousands of angels there. See, I said the chariots of the Lord are 20,000, even thousands of angels. The Lord is among them, as in amongst Zion. We pour for you in scripture, God.
And when he turned his countenance to look,
God.
all the things trembled that were seen under him.
So everybody will living during the time when the Lord the Outside make him a rifle, are going to tremble. All the military, because the Lord the Outside come back in the midst of World War III. You know why? Military men fighting against each other. The Lord the Outside come back in the midst. So if everybody going to stop what them do, and them going to turn and fight against the Outside.
This is Isaiah 30 and verse 5. So they come from a far country,
One.
from the ends of heaven.
Talking about the ICBM missiles, they come from a far country, from Russia, China, Europe, North Korea, India, Pakistan. All these countries of ICBM missiles are going to shoot it off on America. So you say they come from a far country. Go on.
From the ends of heaven,
Go on.
even the Lord.
Even the Lord, Yahushai, I'm going to make him a rival when all these ICBM missiles fire. Go on.
And the weapon of his indignation to destroy the whole
To
land.
destroy the whole land of America. So when this ICBM missile fire off, Lord Yahushai is going to make him a rival. Go on, brother.
This is 2nd Ezra 13 verse 31. And one shall undertake to fight against another,
What?
one city against another, one place against another,
God.
one people against another, and one realm against another. And the time shall be when these things shall come to pass, and the sign shall happen, which I showed thee before. And then shall my son be declared with those signs as a man ascending. And when all the people heard his voice, every man shall in their own land leave the battle they have one against another.
So everyone that heard his voice and seeing Yahushai coming into the cloud, as people say, everybody are going to tremble, as the brother read the scripture earlier. Everybody are going to stop what they do. Stop the fighting against each other. The military them are going to stop fight against each other. And they're going to team up. You know, to fight against the Yahushai and the angels. Because it's kind of going to black out the chariots. Go on.
And an innumerable multitude shall be gathered together as those size them, willing to come and to overcome him by fighting.
God, so they might come together and fight against who? Lord the Yahushai.
Revelation.
God.
Back to 2nd Ezra 13 verse 4. And whensoever the voice went out of his, verse 3. Back to verse 2.
What?
And lo, there arose a wind from the sea,
God.
that it moved all the waves thereof. And I beheld, and lo, that man was strong with the thousand of heaven.
Talking about Yahushai, God.
And when he turned his countenance to look, all things trembled that were seen under him.
So them are going to tremble. As the brother in scripture, them are going to left the battle, left for them to do. Everybody are going to left for them to do and come together. So them are going to tremble when they see Yahushai and the big fathership. Yeah? Big fathership of black out the sky. Plus the rest of chariots. You know? Thousands and thousands of chariots. What?
And whensoever the voice went out of his mouth,
Talking about the powerful laser beams, you know, where these chariots fire, what?
all they burned that heard his voice, like as the earth feeleth when it feeleth the fire.
What?
And after this I beheld, and lo, there was gathered together an multitude of men.
All these military men across the world, as the brother read the scripture earlier is in Revelation 19 and 19, where John basically get the vision of all these things to come. He said inside the beasts and the kings of the earth and their armies get together to fight against him. So all the armies of across the world are going to fight against the Haushai. Get together to fight against the Haushai. One. So this prophecy, our basically get ready to take place now. You see, because we're not at time. One.
There was gathered together a multitude of men out of number from the four winds of the heaven to subdue the man that came out of the sea.
Come out of space. Go on.
Hey, we can say this. That's why he's in space station now. Because you see, in Space Force, a matter of fact.
Yeah, space station too.
Also.
Yeah.
See, because see, he's a know that look, there's going to be a time when he know the prophecies, a matter of fact. It's just that he can't do better more than just do the things. Because the prophecies are set in place, man. Seen as the ark reading, you know what I mean, to be fulfilled. Are we living in that time?
Say, and I to subdue this, he said, but I beheld, and lo, he had graven himself a great mountain.
Talking about the chariot, fathership, what?
And flew upon it. But I would have seen the region or place whereof the hill was graven, and I could not.
Can be to a big fathership is it? What?
After this I beheld, and lo, all they which were gathered together.
So all the military that we have basically gathered together, everybody will stop fight against each other and come together to fight against the Lord, the Haushai. What?
To subdue him were sore afraid.
Was so afraid. I'm afraid. And the chariots, and the things that because as have a lot of these pilots been seeing these chariots doing all different type of moves. Right. As about read the article. You see? So you saw technology or the fighter jets, can't compare to the chariots and things that the chariots ever do. So there are no match for your Haushai.
Right.
And the chariots, go on.
Say, all they which were gathered together to subdue him were sore afraid, and yet there was fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lift up his hand, nor his sword, nor any instrument of war, but only I saw that he sent out of his mouth, as it had been a blast of fire.
A blast of fire, talking about the powerful laser beams. These chariots fire. What?
And out of his lips a flaming breath, and out of his tongue he cast out spark and tempest, and they were all mixed together, the blast of fire, the flaming breath, and the great tempest, and fell with violence upon the multitude which was prepared to fight, and burned them up every one, so that upon a sudden of an innumerable multitude nothing was to be perceived, but only dust and smell of smoke. When I saw this, I was afraid.
So he's just basically afraid to see all these things coming up. Because the time we're approaching right now is very terrible. So all these military men are going to come together and fight against the Lord of Haushai. Everyone is going to get burned up here. So this is prophecy. This prophecy, how we basically get ready to take place now, because we're in a time, as I mentioned, when the society is going to come to an end. We're in a time of the Third World War destruction, and the Lord of Haushai, come back in the midst of World War III. Right. You see, at that time we're living in right now.
Jacob's trouble.
Because the time of Jacob's trouble we're approaching right now, swiftly and speedily. Right? So with that, I say I'll praise and honor to Yahweh, Shemel, Shai, Basham, Kodash. And double honors to the apostles and elders of William Stone. Shalom to all our brothers and out there pushing through in our sincerity and in our honesty. Shalom.